Incredible twist! One Millionaire's heartwarming action transforms life of little girl abandoned. Emily wiped the counter at Rosie's diner with a familiar rhythm, her tired eyes scanning the greasy plates lined up before her. Tonight, she hoped, would be different. Tonight, a food critic from the city was rumored to be visiting, and if the stars aligned, this could be their night, her shot at a better life for her daughter, Sofia. But as the sky darkened and rain began to pour, an ominous feeling settled in her stomach. "Mommy, can I have a piece of pie?" Sofia's cheerful voice cut through her worries. The little girl wiggled in her booth, a sight that always tugged at Emily's heartstrings. Her hopeful grin and bright eyes seemed to magnify Emily's dreams, reminding her of how hard she fought to keep the shadows at bay. "Just a moment, sweet pea," Emily replied, forcing a smile despite the tightness in her chest. The thought of eviction lingered in her mind like an unwelcome ghost. Each day was a grind, every paycheck barely covering rent. Sofia was too innocent to understand how close they were to losing everything, and it broke Emily's heart. At that moment, the door swung open, and in walked Jack, the town's millionaire. Tall and well-dressed, he entered like a gust of wind, drawing the attention of every patron. "What's good here?" he asked, his voice booming over the clatter of dishes. Emily's thoughts of a bright night faded as she realized the coincidence. The critic wouldn't he just be eating her food? It was as if fate had intertwined their paths, tempting her with an impossible chance. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." "Now let's continue." Jack approached Sofia, who was now playing with a napkin. She glanced up, and their eyes met. There was something innocent in her gaze that melted through Jack's polished exterior. "What's so interesting about a napkin?" he chuckled, kneeling beside her. It was the first time anyone in a suit had bothered to speak to Sofia that way. "Look!" she exclaimed, folding it into a makeshift hat. "I'm a chef." The spark in Sofia's eyes drew Jack in, forcing him to take notice of the struggles hidden beneath the surface of this diner. He felt something push against his heart, and he almost reached out a whisper of an idea to help. Emily watched through narrowed eyes, a mix of concern and pride for her daughter wrestling inside her. Who did this man think he was? They were worlds apart, and pride wouldn't he let her accept help that felt insincere. But Jack wasn't like the others. In that moment, he seemed genuinely interested. The Maplewood Harvest Festival was right around the corner, the one time the community came together in joyful unity. Emily made a decision she'd showcase her talent in hopes of earning enough to pay the bills. But as the festival drew closer, news of their eviction hit her hard, leaving her throat tight and confidence waning. As festival lights flickered to life, and laughter surrounded her, the weight of her pride seemed heavier than ever. Would she reach out to Jack? Could she risk everything for a chance at help? Just then, the skies rumbled overhead, mirroring the storm of emotions within her. All eyes turned to the sky, as thunder teased the impending chaos would help come from an unlikely place, or would she lose her home and the only world Sofia knew? The diner buzzed with excitement as the townspeople prepared for the festival. Emily could feel the energy in the air, a mixture of hope and anxiety. The flickering lights strung over the streets made the whole town shimmer like a dream she desperately wanted to hold on to. Yet, every smile from a passing customer reminded her of the weight pressing down on her chest. The eviction notice crumpled at the bottom of her purse felt like a ticking clock. "Mommy, can we help?" Sofia chimed, clutching a half-eaten piece of pie. Her tiny fingers smeared cherry filling on the booth, but Emily couldn't help but laugh. The innocence in her daughter brought her a slice of joy even amidst the chaos. "Let's go set up our booth for the festival. I think we're going to have the best pies in the whole county," Emily declared, forcing enthusiasm into her voice. In that moment, determination glinted in her eyes. Maybe this was the way to turn their luck around. As they ventured out into the crowd, Emily took in the festivities, the laughter, the music, the smell of caramel popcorn wafting through the air. It reminded her of simpler times, before life threw them the curveballs they now battled. Yet her heart sank as she spotted Jack on the other side of the street, holding a conversation that drew a small crowd. What if he saw me? What if he wouldn't help? She thought, biting her lip. Every fear clawed at her, squeezing her heart tighter. Just then, Sofia tugged on her arm. Mommy, look! Can we go say hi to the man in the suit? No, sweetheart. I'm sure he is busy. But deep down, Emily knew this moment could change everything for them. But as if sensing her hesitation, Jack's eyes caught hers. For a brief moment, the noise around them faded away, and all Emily could see was his warm smile. The world blurred, and her heart raced as he began to stride toward them. Hi there! Jack beamed, kneeling to Sofia's level. Your hat looks amazing. Sofia smiled so wide Emily thought she might burst with happiness. Watching them made her heart swell, yet doubt still crept in. Did she really want his help? Thank you. I made it all by myself. Are you going to try our pies? Sofia replied, her excitement contagious. It was as if her pure spirit melted away the barriers Emily had built around her heart. Jack's gaze turned serious, the laughter falling away. I would love to. Your mom makes the best pies, right, Emily? His acknowledgement of her talent ignited a flicker of hope, but it was quickly swallowed up by fear. She opened her mouth, trying to respond, but found herself frozen. What would it be like to let a rich man into their lives? What if it changed everything? The world around them seemed to hold its breath as Jack leaned closer, lowering his voice. I know things have been tough. If there's any way I can help, just let me know. Emily felt the weight of those words settle on her shoulders. Could she really let him in? Just then, Sofia tugged on her sleeve, breaking the intensity of the moment. Can we, Mommy? Please? Staring into her daughter's eager eyes felt like a crossroads. Emily was torn between pride and desperation, between keeping her distance, or reaching out for the help that could save them. As the thunder rolled in the distance, uncertainty loomed heavy in the air, a reflection of the storm brewing within her heart. With every festival cheer echoing around them, the question lingered, would she take a leap of faith and grasp the lifeline that Jack offered, or would fear keep her drowning in the depths of despair? The answer was just beyond her grasp, and as she looked up at Jack, she knew the next moment could change everything. Emily's heart raced. Time felt suspended as she weighed the options laid out before her, shimmering like the festival lights. She could either grasp the help Jack offered or pull back to the familiar comfort of solitude. Sofia, oblivious to the depths of her mother's turmoil, bounced on the balls of her feet, eyes wide with hope. Mommy, let us ask him, Sofia urged, her innocent enthusiasm cutting through Emily's insecurities. Maybe I should, Emily began, unsure of her next words. Jack's gaze held a sincere warmth that pushed against the cold barriers of her pride. Listen, Jack said gently, sensing her hesitation. You don't have to worry about anything. I just want to help. Whatever that looks like, we can figure it out together. His voice was steady, and beneath it, a current of empathy flowed. Emily felt the weight of her choices pressing down like a heavy blanket. She caught a glimpse of what support could feel like, a kindness she had forgotten existed in the world outside her struggles. But then doubt slipped back in, wrapping around her heart like vines choking a budding flower. Why would you even want to help? You barely know us. Sofia tugged her hand again. Mommy, I want to share our pies. It'll be fun. Emily's eyes flitted down to her daughter, who wore that hopeful expression, the very one that had kept her going during sleepless nights and overflowing bills. Suddenly, the smell of caramel popcorn mixed with the sweet scent of cherry pie ignited something in her. Fine, Emily said. We'll set up the booth, but just for today. I don't want to owe anyone anything. Jack's smile widened, relief washing over his features. That is all I ask. Just give it a chance. As they walked together toward the booth, the festival came alive around them. Children ran by, laughter pealed from every corner, and Emily could feel the eyes of familiar faces lighting up with recognition. While she tried to ignore how it felt to have Jack by her side, the suffocating worry began to lift. Setting up their booth felt energizing. Lovingly arranged pies lined the table, and Sofia decorated with streamers and sparkles. Jack helped by lugging boxes and arranging everything with an ease that surprised Emily. In that light, he looked less like a millionaire and more like a friend, someone who cared. "Do you really think people will come?" Sofia asked, arranging the last pie. "Of course," Jack encouraged. "It's all about the presentation. And you know what?" "What?" "You both have the magic touch. The family touch. People love home, and that's what you're offering." Emily glanced at him, gratitude swelled in her heart. Still, lingering uncertainty clung to her like a shadow. Could she trust this moment? As more townsfolk stopped by their booth, tasted the pies, and smiled in delight, Emily slowly began to feel a shift. Their laughter, their shared joy, it felt a little like home. But just as that warmth spread, she spotted someone she hadn't expected. Across the street, a figure emerged from the crowd, someone with familiar eyes that once held promise but now just echoed her past. It was Eric, and he was walking straight towards her. A flood of emotion surged through her: anger, hurt, confusion. Panic set in. What would he say? What would he want? In that moment, everything felt poised on the brink of chaos. Would she confront her past in the midst of this newfound hope? The festival music played on, but for Emily it felt like the eye of a storm, and with Eric's approach, she braced for what was to come. Eric's presence cut through the happiness that enveloped Emily like a thick fog. Her heart hammered in her chest, each beat whispering a warning. She didn't want to revisit old pains, especially not here, not now. Not in front of Sofia and Jack. "Emily," Eric called, his voice slicing through the laughter around them. Time seemed to freeze as the crowd swirled, laughter mingling with the haunting memories that began to bubble to the surface. Emily instinctively stepped back, pulling Sofia closer. "Stay by me, sweetheart," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Who's that?" Sofia asked, glancing up with wide eyes full of curiosity. "That's a friend from a long time ago," Emily replied, forcing a smile that felt brittle and thin. All she wanted was for Sofia to remain blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside their little bubble of pie and joy. "Emily!" Eric pressed, his expression transitioning from surprise to something that looked too much like concern. "You look good. I've been trying to reach you." With every step he took toward her, waves of old emotions crashed over her: disappointment, heartbreak, and a hint of lingering affection. But she couldn't afford to let those feelings resurface. Not now. Not when things seemed to be finally moving in the right direction. "What do you want, Eric?" She shot back, trying to inject braveness into her voice. But deep down, doubt crept in. What did he want? Was it an apology? An explanation? Or something else entirely? "I just want to talk," he said, his voice steady. "Can we not do this here?" Jack had been watching, sensing the tension tightening in the air. His brow furrowed with concern. "Is everything okay?" he asked, stepping slightly in front of Emily, his protective instinct kicking in. Emily appreciated his presence, the quiet support he radiated. "It's fine, Jack. Just old business," she replied, but her heart strained under the weight of her truth. "Emily," Eric said, trying to soften the moment, "I didn't mean to." "You didn't mean to what?" she interrupted, frustration rising. "Leave? Disappear? Show up out of nowhere like this? You don't get to just barge back into my life when it suits you." The words came rushing out before she could hold them back. The crowd around them seemed to momentarily dim, each face now a witness to this raw exchange. Sofia tightened her grip on her mother's hand, sensing the shift. Eric paused, his face revealing a flurry of emotions: guilt, regret, and maybe a tinge of longing. "I know I messed up, and I can't take that back. But I want to understand. I want to know if there's a chance to make it right." The agony of his words turned in Emily's stomach. She had built a life so determinedly on moving forward. Could she even entertain the thought of looking back? Jack slipped his hand to Emily's shoulder, grounding her. You don't owe him anything, he said softly. Let us just focus on what's here right now, Emily. In that tension-filled moment, a flicker of uncertainty haunted Emily. There was Eric, a ghost from her past, unearthing emotions she had buried deep. But then there was Jack, a present filled with warmth and potential. Emily felt her pulse quickening, the stakes higher than ever. What's right? She thought. Was it the man who had walked away or the one who stood with her now? I can't do this right now, Emily finally said, her voice trembling. Maybe we can talk later. I just need some space. As she turned away, she felt the tight grip of her insecurities wrestle with the spark of new beginnings. But would this path be an escape or a deepening of scars? The vibrant festival lights twinkled like stars overhead, but they felt dim compared to the thoughts swarming in her mind. Would Eric's unexpected return shatter what she was trying to build, or would it force her to finally confront the pain she'd been dodging? And as she took a deep breath, Jack's warm presence beside her felt like a lifeline. However, behind her, she sensed Eric's lingering gaze, a reminder that the past was not done with her yet. What lay ahead? Emily's journey had only just begun. And she could almost feel the next twist waiting for her, just around the corner. Emily moved through the bustling festival, the laughter and cheer around her gradually fading into a murmur. The vibrant colors of the stalls dulled against the storm inside her head. She could hear Sofia chatting excitedly about the balloons and face painting, but her mind was elsewhere, caught in the grip of her past. Mom, can we get cotton candy? Sofia asked, her eyes sparkling like the twinkling lights above. Sure, honey. Emily forced a smile, but her heart felt heavy. She glanced back, half expecting Eric to follow. But he stood there, lingering like a shadow, uncertainty etched across his face as he watched them. She felt a flicker of guilt. Maybe he really did want to talk, but it felt like a trap. Jack stayed close, offering her silent support. What's on your mind? He asked, his gaze filled with concern. I don't know what to think, she confessed, still watching Eric from a distance. He left without a word, and now he acts like nothing happened. It's infuriating. People make mistakes. Doesn't he mean you have to forgive him? Jack replied. But you deserve to be honest with yourself. That's what really matters. His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace. She nodded, but her heart was still racing. Could she face Eric? Was she strong enough to confront the pain he had caused? Sofia tugged at her hand, drawing her focus back. Mom, look! The magician! She pointed excitedly to a man in a top hat performing tricks, and Emily couldn't help but smile at her daughter's delight. Let us go, Emily said, following Sofia through the crowd, but even as she approached the entertainment, her mind kept wandering. I love magic! Sofia exclaimed, her face alight with joy. The magician pulled colorful scarves from thin air, making balloons twist and turn into animals. For a moment, Emily lost herself in her daughter's laughter, finding comfort in the magic of the moment. Gradually, the tension within her began to ease, and she felt the safe rhythm of family life wrap around her. But just as she settled into that warmth, she felt the familiar weight of Eric's gaze again. Taking a deep breath, she turned to see him stepping closer. Emily, he called, but this time his tone was softer, almost pleading. The crowd continued to swirl around them, but in that moment, it felt as if they stood alone. I just need to understand, Eric said, his voice trembling slightly. Can we please talk somewhere quiet? Sofia looked up at Emily, her innocent eyes darting between her mother and the man who had once been part of her life. Mom, who is he? Emily felt a rush of panic. How could she explain? Just someone from a long time ago, sweetheart, she managed, though it felt like more than that. It felt like a reckoning. What's wrong? Sofia asked, her concern etched on her young face. Nothing, darling. Just give me a minute. Emily hated the confusion in her daughter's eyes, but the chaos in her heart was louder. Jack stepped forward, lowering his voice. You don't have to do this, Emily. Whatever he wants to say can wait. We're here now. She could feel the warmth radiating from Jack, a comfort in the face of her uncertainty. But that gaze, that longing look from Eric, was it guilt? Regret? Or something deeper? Just a minute, please, Eric pressed, desperation rising in his tone. The flutter of hope and anxiety intertwined in Emily's chest. Every instinct urged her to step back, to protect her heart and Sofia. But another part of her, the part that craved understanding, wanted to know. With a shaky breath, she nodded. Okay, but just a minute. As Eric stepped closer, Emily could feel the gravity of the moment. The echoes of their past swirled like the festival lights around them. What would this conversation hold? Would it drag her back into a chapter she thought she had closed for good? But before she could process this new tension, a loud popping sound echoed through the air, followed by gasps and screams. The excitement turned into chaos as people began to scatter. "Mom!" Sofia cried, instinctively clutching Emily's leg. "What is happening?" Jack asked, scanning the scene, concern etched deeply into his features. As chaos erupted, Emily realized this moment was no longer about her past, but about the safety of her present. What would she choose as the dust settled? And deep down, she sensed a storm brewing that would change everything all over again. The world around them shifted from vibrancy to panic in an instant. Emily could see people running, faces filled with fear. The explosion of noise filled her ears, drowning out her thoughts, suffocating reason. She grasped Sofia's hand tighter, her chest tightening with a primal urge to protect. "Stay close!" she yelled, her voice barely rising above the din. Jack stood firm beside them, eyes scanning for threats, ready to shield them from whatever chaos lurked. Eric's expression morphed from pleading to urgent. "We need to get out of here!" he shouted, forcing his gaze away from Emily to assess the situation. "Where?" she countered, her heart hammering. She didn't know if she could trust him, not now, not ever. "Over there." He pointed toward a narrow alleyway just past the food stalls, a semblance of safety amidst the clamor. Emily hesitated, the fight between instinct and reason raging within her. A part of her wanted to bolt, pull Sofia away from Eric, keep her daughter safe. But another part, a more confusing part, felt there was strength in numbers, even if that number included the man who had shattered her trust. "Mom, I'm scared," Sofia whimpered, her eyes wide, glistening with unshed tears. Emily knelt down, meeting her daughter's gaze. "I know, baby. Just stay close to me, okay?" She could feel Jack's reassuring presence beside her, steady and unwavering, but the sight of Eric unsettled her even more. "Let us go," Jack urged, nudging them toward the alley. There was no time to think. The crowd surged like a tide, pushing them into the dimness where shadows offered concealment. In the narrow space, the noise became a muffled echo. Emily pressed Sofia protectively against her side. "It's going to be okay. Just breathe," she whispered, though uncertainty tangled in her own stomach. Eric stepped forward, his brows knit together. "I'm sorry for whatever was happening before. I just wanted to say I'm here now. But we need to focus on keeping you safe, Emily." Emily's heart raced at his words, at the ghost of hope they carried. Did he really care, or was this just another show? "You think a few words will change all that you left behind?" She shot back, emotions spilling over like the chaos outside. "I know I messed up." "I know," he said, voice cracking. "But I can't let anything happen to you or Sofia. Please listen. Just trust me for now." Jack's grip tightened on Emily's shoulder, a subtle reminder of the present shrouded in danger. "Emily, we need to move. Now." Eric hesitated, caught between the fervent need to explain and the urgency of their escape. The tension between them crackled in the air, the echoes of their fractured past hovering above. But just as it seemed they were ready to act, a bright flash lit the alley. Emily instinctively shielded Sofia, but she could hardly register what it was, too much adrenaline coursing through her veins. Voices shouted in the distance, some calling for help, others expressing sheer panic. What was that? Sofia clung tighter, her small body shivering against Emily's side. "They're just fireworks, sweetheart," Emily lied, keeping her tone steady despite the fear racing in her heart. She could feel Eric's presence behind her, and for just a moment, she wished it could be comforting, wished it could all go back to normal. "Let us get moving before it gets worse," Jack urged, moving forward to guide them through the darkness. With every step, Emily felt her heart sink deeper. A feeling of confusion washed over her. They might survive this chaos, but was that enough? Would it be enough to resolve what lay unresolved? As they stumbled out of the alley into the relative safety of a quieter street, Emily caught a glimpse of Eric again. The storm of feelings swirled inside her. Could she let him in the midst of the chaos? What did she really want now, amidst the firework explosions of her past? And as they forged ahead, the weight of her decision loomed larger than ever. Would she face her fears, or continue to let the echoes of betrayal cloud her vision? In that uncertainty, a new chapter of her life waited to unfurl, igniting questions that now felt more pressing than the danger outside. The street seemed eerily quiet compared to the chaos behind them. The flickering neon signs overhead cast a cool light that contrasted sharply with the unease thrumming through Emily's body. She felt the weight of every decision pressing down on her, a mix of fear and anger intertwined like vines wrapping around her heart. "Mom, what is happening?" Sofia's voice was small, almost lost in the muffled sounds of distant crisis. Emily turned to her daughter, seeing the worry etched on her tiny face. It broke her heart all over again, but she knew she had to stand firm. "Just some fireworks, baby. People can be really loud sometimes," she responded, her voice barely above a whisper. She tried to sound casual, but the tremor in her words betrayed her. Jack kept scanning the surroundings, ensuring they were out of immediate danger, while Eric lingered a few steps behind, lost in thought. "Are you okay?" Jack asked, his eyes darting between Emily and Sofia. There was concern in his gaze, a steadfast friend offering support amid the storm. "We need to keep moving. This isn't over yet." "I know. Just give me a second," she breathed, forcing herself to focus. Emily watched Sofia as she fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, trying to muster courage. Emily knelt down again, cupping her daughter's face in hands. "I promise I'm right here. You're safe with me." "Where are we going?" Sofia asked, her eyes wide and searching, looking for reassurance that everything would be okay. "Anywhere but here," Emily replied, standing back up. The mention of Eric caused a swell of conflicting emotions within her. Could she trust him again? Was leaving him behind truly the right choice? "Let us head toward the car," Jack suggested, motioning for her to follow. "It's a few blocks away. If we can get there, we can think." As they started walking, Emily felt the panic in the air as thick as fog. The distant shouts seemed to close in, tightening her chest. The crowd had thinned, but the fear remained palpable. Moving felt like moving through water, sluggish and overwhelming. Eric said suddenly, and she paused, turning to face him. His expression was a mixture of desperation and sincerity. "I need you to know I will protect you, both of you. I know I messed up, but I can be better. I promise." His words hung in the air, filled with the weight of unspoken promises. Emily's breath hitched. Did he really think he could just jump back into her life? All those memories of betrayal, every tear she had shed came rushing back. It felt impossible to grasp the idea of forgiving him, yet here he was, reaching out with his own heart laid bare. "I don't know if I can believe you again," she admitted, her voice shaky, but steady. "Not after everything." "Just let me show you," he pleaded, stepping closer, the sincerity in his eyes undeniable. "I don't want to lose you, Emily." Sofia whimpered, and Emily instinctively pulled her tighter. It was too much, and yet, somewhere deep inside, a flicker of hope dared to rise. Was it possible for someone to truly change? Could her heart withstand the push and pull of Eric's words while protecting her daughter? Suddenly, an explosion echoed in the distance, shaking the ground beneath them. Emily flinched, heart racing. Panic surged anew, suffocating like a wave crashing over her. "Go! We need to run!" Jack shouted, grabbing Sofia with one arm and pushing Emily toward the direction of the car. Eric's eyes widened, a mix of fear and determination crossing his features as they sprinted forward. Running felt like an escape, but Emily couldn't rid herself of the weight of Eric's presence behind her. There came a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. Trusting him might mean risking everything. The question lingered in the air as they dashed through the streets. Would she have the courage to embrace the unknown, or would fear keep her shackled to the past? And as they neared the edge of the street, Emily paused, heart pounding, caught between the urge to flee and the desire to stand her ground. What if this moment led to something completely unexpected, a sudden scream cut the night, pulling them all to a halt. The scream hung in the air, a piercing note that sliced through the chaos, freezing Emily in her spot. It felt like the world had dimmed for a moment, and all she could hear was the thudding of her own heart, drumming in her chest like a warning signal. Jack's grip tightened around Sofia, shields up in a defensive posture. "Did you hear that?" Emily barely managed to whisper, her eyes darting towards the direction from which the sound had erupted. It was a voice filled with raw panic, desperate for help. The streets that had felt so empty moments before were now shifting, alive with the sharp echoes of fear. Jack nodded, his expression serious. "We have to check it out," he said, his jaw clenched with resolve. "No," Emily replied, the words slipping from her lips before she could think it through. "We can't risk it, we have to get Sofia to safety." But even as she spoke, an internal battle waged. A flicker of adrenaline surged within her, urging her to go in and help whoever was in trouble. It tugged at the mother instinct that anchored her in place. But the ties to Sofia were stronger. "Mom!" Sofia's small voice broke through the haze, pulling Emily's focus back to her daughter. "What if someone needs us?" The innocent belief in her daughter's words hit hard, and in that moment, Emily felt the limits of her own fear start to crack. "Okay," she finally said, turning to face Jack. "But we stay together. No one gets left behind." Eric, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. "Let me lead the way. I know the area. I can help," he offered, his eyes earnest. Emily hesitated, still unsure whether trusting him was as risky as it felt. "Fine. Just stay close," she instructed, her voice trembling with uncertainty. They moved forward cautiously, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows along the pavement. Each step felt like a leap into the unknown, every shout from behind them escalating the fear everyone was grappling with. As they approached the source of the scream, a figure suddenly came into view, a boy, no older than Sofia, crouched in the shadows, clutching his leg as blood seeped through his fingers. "Oh God!" Emily gasped, instinctively rushing forward. Jack swayed behind her, eyes darting as he assessed the situation. "Stay back!" the boy cried out, panic lining his voice. "I'm okay. Just help me." "Sure, we're here to help," Emily soothed, kneeling beside him. "What happened?" "I fell during the commotion," he stammered, glancing over his shoulder nervously. "I can't get up." The sight of a hurt child sent waves of urgency crashing through Emily. This danger felt different. It was no longer about herself or Eric. It was about saving this boy while ensuring her own daughter stayed safe. "Jack, I need your phone," she called without turning away from the boy, noting with relief that he was still holding on to hope. "On it!" Jack shouted, fumbling through his pockets. Emily's heart raced as she tore off a piece of her shirt, wrapping it around the boy's leg to stem the bleeding. "Just hang in there, okay?" She fought against the wave of despair that threatened to wash over her. "Help is coming!" Eric hovered nearby, glancing at the boy with a mix of concern and guilt. "We can't stay here for long," he warned. "If whoever caused this comes back, then you need to stay with us." Jack snapped, now on the phone with authorities. Sofia stepped closer, worry plastered across her face. "Are you scared, Mom?" It was a question that cut deep. Behind her brave front, the truth was that Emily felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling, and she was losing her grip on control. "Not when I'm with you," Emily replied, forcing a smile as she brushed a strand of hair behind Sofia's ear. But in that moment, As the sirens wailed in the distance, she realized that fear was a part of life, and perhaps, just maybe, courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward despite it. And as they awaited for help to arrive, the echoes of her past with Eric flooded back. Could she navigate this moment without letting history repeat itself? Would they all find a way out of this together? She felt the ground shifting beneath her feet, but instead of crumbling, a question loomed large in her mind. What would it take for her to trust him, and maybe even herself, again? The sirens grew louder, a wailing melody that promised urgency yet filled the air with dread. Emily's heart raced, and her fingers pressed firmly against the makeshift bandage on the boy's leg. She could feel the warmth of blood seeping through the fabric, a persistent reminder of the fragility of life. "Stay with me," she murmured, aware that his eyes fluttered with a mix of pain and fear. "What's your name?" "Jacob," he breathed, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm so scared." Emily leaned closer, trying to shield him from the chaos, enveloping him in a sense of safety even if just for that moment. "I know, Jacob. But you're not alone. We're here, and help is coming soon." Jack's voice broke through her focus. "They're on their way, Em. Just a few more minutes." He held a steady gaze on the street, the defensiveness still etched on his face. For a brief moment, Emily felt a flicker of gratitude toward him. They were in this together, and he was trying to protect them all. Sofia played nervously with her hair, glancing between the boy and her mother. "Is he going to be okay?" The innocence in her voice was bittersweet, and it pierced Emily's heart. "Yes, sweetheart," Emily answered, hoping her voice didn't betray her own uncertainty. "He's going to be okay." She gently stroked Jacob's hair, feeling the tension in his body ease just slightly. Over Jacob's head, Eric looked troubled, his eyes darting around as if anticipating danger lurking in every shadow. "What if they come back?" His voice trembled, and Emily wished she could reassure him that fear was irrational, but the truth hung heavy in the air. "Then we'll stand together," Jack interjected, voice steady with conviction. "We're not leaving anyone behind." Just as Jack spoke, the sounds of a scuffle broke through the evening air. A group of figures emerged down the street, shadows moving swiftly, darker than the night around them. Each silhouette created a knot of panic in Emily's stomach. Were they coming to help? Or had the danger they feared found them instead? "Get behind me," Jack commanded, his body positioning defensively in front of Emily and the kids. The tension in his muscles was palpable, and Emily silently thanked him for his courage, even while her heart raced with dread. Eric, though still visibly shaken, stepped up alongside Jack, adrenaline pushing him past his fear. "If they're looking for trouble, we won't let them find it here," he declared. Sofia squeezed Emily's hand tightly, grounding her in that moment. Emily felt torn between bravery and instinct to protect her daughter at any cost. She glanced down at Jacob, whose face was pale and drenched with sweat. "We have to get him out of here," she whispered urgently. "Can you help him, Jack?" "Yeah," he replied, his eyes focused, ready to act. "I'll carry him. Just give me a second." He took a step forward, gesturing to Eric. "We need to make a path." No. "I can walk," Jacob interjected, pushing up on his elbows. Pain pulsed through his expression, but a flicker of defiance shined within him. "Jacob, you need to conserve your strength," Emily soothed, wrapping a reassuring hand around his shoulder. "Please, just let us help you right now." The figures grew closer, illuminated by the glow of streetlights. Emily's heart sank as she realized they weren't just random strangers, they were local kids, appearing confident and swaggering as if they owned the night. "Hey!" one of them shouted, laughing as they approached, the mockery in their voice cold and aggressive. "What's going on here? Got a little party happening?" Emily's blood ran cold. There would be no easy escape. The confrontation that lay ahead filled her with a combination of fear for her daughter and a rising instinct to protect Jacob. She had never wanted to flee more than at that moment. But when she glanced over at Sofia, her heart swelled with defiance. What had shaped her life was not only fear, but also love. "We fight together," she told Sofia with conviction. Maybe history wouldn't repeat itself. Perhaps tonight, trust and courage would guide them all through. As the gang moved closer, Emily faced their leader, her voice firm despite the tremor in her heart. You need to back off. This is not your territory. They laughed again, but Emily couldn't let that break her resolve. The stakes were too high, and the question hung in the air, echoing with every heartbeat. What were they willing to risk for each other? The real battle had just begun. Would they find a way to protect each other? Or would the night take a turn that none of them could foresee? The tension crackled through the air like static, and fear danced behind Emily's resolute words. She stood firm, heart pounding, every instinct telling her to protect her daughter and the boy on the ground. Jack stood beside her, a wall of muscle and determination, while Eric's presence became a buoy tethered to her wavering hope. Back off, Emily repeated, but her voice wavered slightly as the gang kept inching closer, each confident step sending pangs of apprehension through her like a drumbeat. The leader smirked, swaggering forward. What's a little fight between friends? The mocking lilt in his voice sent shivers down Emily's spine. She clenched her fists, but inside, her thoughts raced. Were they really ready for this? They had no weapons, no advantage, only courage. Sofia, stay close. Emily shot a quick look at her daughter, whose eyes reflected a mix of fear and defiance, mirroring her mother's unwavering resolve. Jack bent forward towards Jacob. Can you move? Can you walk? He asked, his voice firm but urgent. I think so, Jacob stammered, his determination fierce despite the pain. Okay, on my count, I'm going to help you up, and we're going to make our way to safety. Just focus on getting out of here. Jack instantly felt the boy's strength flailing against the waves of pain. The gang laughed again, and Emily's blood boiled. What do you want? She snapped, summoning every ounce of courage to stand her ground. We're not the ones you want to mess with. Suddenly, the leader paused, sizing them up. What, you think you're tough? His eyes narrowed as he stepped closer, examining the unlikely trio. What's a kid doing here? And a wounded one? Bet you can't even defend yourselves. Jack's eyes flicked to Emily, a silent agreement passing between them. They could be strong together, but it would take a united front to face this storm. Leave him alone. A surge of anger spilled from Emily as her voice rose above the din. We are not afraid of you. We're not backing down. Sofia took a small step forward, emboldened by her mother's bravery. You better leave my mom alone. A ripple of surprise coursed through the gang. The leader faltered but quickly recovered, trying to laugh it off. Cute kid. You really think you can protect her? Look at you. This was it. This was the moment. Without thinking, Emily's heart soared ahead of her mind. No, but we will fight for what's right. We will not let you hurt anyone. The tension in the air shifted. A flicker of uncertainty shone in the leader's eyes. Maybe underestimating their resolve wasn't a smart move. And just as those thoughts danced in the leader's mind, Jack seized the chance to step in. Look, just turn back now. You don't want any part of this. The gravel in his voice made the challenge clear. A glimmer of hesitance crossed the gang's faces. They shifted slightly, caught in the undertow of that shared moment. Their bravado was gradually overshadowed by a hint of doubt. Yeah, let us just go. It's not worth it, one of them muttered, breaking rank a little. Not yet! The leader shouted, but even he seemed to feel the energy sway against him. As the gauntlet of tension reached a boiling point, something incredible happened. A fleeting moment of clarity swept through Emily like a warm breeze. This isn't about fear, she thought. It's about standing together. Then, a voice echoed from the distance, a beacon in the chaos. It was the sound of sirens closer than before. The leader's smug confidence wavered. Now! Jack urged, and with a swift motion, he wrapped an arm around Jacob. Let us go. He gently lifted the boy, holding him steady against his side, ensuring safety. The gang, now visibly rattled, hesitated, then turned to flee as the sirens drew near. Emily watched them back away, confusion and shock written all over their faces. They seemed to know their bravado wouldn't hold against authority. Run! The leader barked, and they scurried into the shadows, leaving Emily, Jack, Sofia, and Jacob standing in that bitter aftertaste of chaos. Once the deluge of fear passed, a wave of relief enveloped them, but it felt uncertain. Emily knelt down to Jacob, smoothing back his sweaty hair. "You're going to be okay. Help is coming." She locked eyes with Jack, gratitude mixing with disbelief at how they had faced that terror together. Sofia, vibrant and innocent, tugged at Emily's arm. "Did we really scare them away, Mommy?" Her voice was slightly shaky yet uplifted by the adrenaline of the moment. "Yes, we did," Emily whispered, embracing her daughter tightly, tears swelling in her eyes. "We did it together." As they stood together in that space wrapped in light and shadows, the sirens finally reached them, illuminating the darkness with bursts of red and blue. Help poured in, and with it, the promise of safety. Eric had stepped a little behind them, gazing at the scene unfold, a mixture of awe and relief. "You were amazing," he said, genuinely, looking at Emily and Jack. "I'm sorry for everything I've done." In that moment, the weight of Emily's past felt a little lighter. "We're building a new future," she said, looking into Eric's eyes, softness mingling with the firmness of her heart. "But it starts now, and I hope you can join us, if you can show that you've changed." As the sirens wailed and help descended upon them, the air shifted. Every beat of their hearts hummed with the tapestry of hope and resilience. One single moment had changed everything. They fought together, they survived together, and now they would heal together. This night would become a chapter. They were ready to write a new story, one of trust, transformation, and hope. And for the first time in a long while, Emily felt the warmth of a possible tomorrow ignite within her, pushing her forward into a brighter horizon. The storm had passed, and the dawn began to rise. Now, as you've reached the end of this incredible story, I need you to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and push this life-changing message out into the world. And comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, because your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It could change their lives. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Let us build this community together.